Hello everyone, it's lovely to have you here today. We're going to talk about something that's quietly affecting millions of us as we age, osteoporosis. But don't worry, it's not all gloom and doom. We've got gentle tips, surprising facts, and a little humor to keep us steady on our feet. Lovely seniors, there's something quietly terrifying about the things we don't see. A creaky step we didn't notice yesterday. A sharp corner of a coffee table we never used to worry about. And bones, yes, those solid, loyal friends inside our bodies slowly becoming more fragile without ever making a sound. We don't talk about it much, do we? Fragility, not in public. We'd rather laugh about the forgetful moments, the wrinkles, the reading glasses. But tell someone, I'm scared I'll fall. And they'll say, oh, don't be silly. And so we tuck it away. We tell no. 1. We just move slower, double check the carpet, grip the banister a bit tighter than we used to. But let's pause here, dear listener, because you are not silly. And you're certainly not alone, as we age. Our bones go through their own quiet rebellion. The big medical term is osteoporosis, which sounds like something a robot might catch, but really, it just means your bones are losing density. They're not as packed and solid as they once were. And that can lead to a dangerous thing, a fall. That doesn't just bruise your ego, but breaks something deeper. Now, let's be clear. Falling isn't a natural part of aging. It's a sign that something underneath our balance, our strength, or our environment needs a bit of love and attention. That's hopeful, isn't it? Because it means there's something we can do. See, the fear of falling isn't just about breaking bones. It's about losing independence. It's the fear of someone saying, you can't live alone anymore. It's the fear of hospital beds, of not bouncing back. And for some of us, it's also about dignity, about not wanting our children to see us as weak. But here's the secret. Taking care of your bones isn't a sign of weakness. It's an act of quiet bravery. It's choosing to keep walking, keep reaching, keep living well. We'll get to the practical stuff soon, foods that love your bones, exercises that make you steady, and how to make your home a little less like a booby trap. But for now, just let this sink in. Your bones may whisper, but they are still speaking. And it's not too late to listen. So tonight, when you get up for the loo at 2 a.m., maybe switch the light on. Not because you're afraid, but because you're wise. Because wisdom, unlike bones, only gets stronger with age. You know, bones are rather philosophical if you think about it. They hold everything up, never complain, and yet, over time, they teach us the art of letting go of density, of rigidity, of the idea that we'll always be as strong as we were. At 50, it reminds one of this lovely quote by Khalil Gibran, greater than your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. In this case, the shell is quite literal. Osteoporosis doesn't arrive with fireworks, no grand announcement. It slips in quietly, like a nosy neighbor peeking over the fence. You might notice your back hunching a tad, or that you shrunk an inch, but often the first sign is a fall. A wrist, a hip, a back. Something breaks, and we wonder, how on earth did that happen? I only tripped over the dog's tail. Here's the science bit gently served. Our bones are living tissue. They grow, shrink, rebuild, and adapt. But after about age 30, we start losing more bone than we build. Women, especially after menopause, lose bone faster. Men aren't entirely off the hook either. Your bones also thin out, just a bit more discreetly. And when bones become porous like a sponge that's been wrung out too many times, they're prone to fractures. Not the dramatic football kind, mind you. No, these ones can come from the simplest slip or even a sneeze if your spine's had enough. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, that's just part of getting old, isn't it? But here's where the truth gives us a wink. Osteoporosis is common, but it is not inevitable. it's not just about aging. It's about how we age. Let's make it clear having osteoporosis doesn't mean you're fragile as porcelain. It means your bones need support, like an old friend who's carried you all your life and now needs you to carry them, in a way. And this is where the humor comes in. A lady I once met at a community center said, "My bones are like my husband, quiet, hard to read, and falling apart when I least expect it." We laughed, of course. But there's truth in jest, isn't there? If we ignore our bone health, we risk losing more than structure. We risk confidence, movement, and that glorious sense of freedom to just get up and go dot. So how do we know if our bones are playing tricks on us? There's a lovely thing called a DEXA scan, a painless little lie-down test that checks your bone density. Think of it as a bone selfie, only without the flattering angles. It tells you where you stand, literally, and whether your bones could use a bit of a boost. But even before you get scanned, your body gives hints. You feel shorter, not just metaphorically. Literally, your back aches, especially after lifting things you've broken a bone too easily. From a small knock, your posture starts to curve forward. Now, these aren't to scare you, but to empower you. Because knowing is not the end of youth. It's the beginning of wisdom. So here's today's gentle reminder. Listen to your spine. It's been your life's pillar. Give it the love it deserves. And if you're tempted to skip the bone scan, remember this: the unexamined life is not worth living, said Socrates. And he wasn't even talking about bone density. There's a little joke in my local walking group that goes like this: greater than we don't eat for taste anymore. We eat to avoid the hospital. And while it gets a chuckle, it's not entirely wrong, is it? See, our bones have appetites too. They may not growl like your stomach or nag like your knees, but they do have cravings. And what they crave quietly, faithfully, is calcium, vitamin D, magnesium, and a touch of kindness. Let's start with calcium. Everyone's heard of it, but not everyone respects it. Think of calcium as the bricks of your skeletal house. No bricks, no house. Or worse, a house with bits missing, waiting for a stiff breeze to knock it over. Now, many of us were raised on the idea that milk is the only way to strong bones. And while a good splash of milk in your tea won't hurt, it's not the only. Source: here's a little list your bones would write you if they could hold a pen. Sardines with bones. Yes, the bones. That's where the magic is. Leafy greens, kale, spinach, collard greens. If it looks like something a rabbit would eat, you're on the right path. Almonds, not too many, or your teeth might stage a protest. Tofu, yes, it can taste like a wet sponge, but with the right sauce, it's a delight. Yogurt, especially the plain kind. Bonus if it has live cultures. But calcium alone is like a guest who shows up to a party and doesn't know where to sit. It needs help finding its way into your bones. And that's where vitamin D comes in, the ultimate usher. Your body makes vitamin D when sunlight kisses your skin. A little morning stroll, sleeves rolled up, and your bones start cheering softly. But if the weather's being grumpy, or your skin is less sun-thirsty than it used to be, you might need help from foods like egg yolks, fatty fish like salmon or mackerel, fortified cereals, or plant-based milks, and sometimes a small supplement. If your doctor agrees, then there's magnesium and vitamin K2, the underrated heroes. They help the calcium settle in your bones rather than wander into your arteries where it doesn't belong. You'll find them in seeds, beans, and joy of joy's dark chocolate. Yes, chocolate. At last, something fun. And remember this: let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food, said Hippocrates. The man was on to something, but food is only half the story. What we do with our bodies each day matters just as much. Are you moving? Are you standing tall? Are you using those lovely legs for more than a shuffle to the kettle? Because bones love gentle resistance. Not the sort you give when someone offers you a new app, but resistance from movement. Walking, climbing stairs, gardening, tai chi, even carrying shopping bags, as long as they're not heavier than your neighbor's gossip. It doesn't have to be fancy. One lady I know keeps weights in her lounge made from old water bottles filled with rice. She does a few lifts during her soap opera and says, it's EastEnders and endorphins, all in one go. Brilliant. Here's a small tip for daily life. Every time you rise from a chair without using your hands, you're training your legs and hips to support you. That one little move can mean the difference between staying upright or not. So, eat like your bones are listening. Move like your future depends on it, because it does. And the next time someone says, you're looking strong, you smile and say, greater than why, yes, I've been dating kale and lifting rice bottles. Let them wonder. There's a moment quiet, private, and often unspoken that comes after a fall. Not the loud thud, not the flurry of arms, or the nurse asking if you're all right. No, I'm talking about after. When you're back home, alone perhaps, and the fear creeps in. What if it happens again? Maybe I should stop walking to the shop. Perhaps it's time I give up the garden. And there it is. The real danger of falling. Not the broken hip, not even the bruised elbow. It's the quiet stealing of confidence, that slow creeping. Loss of trust in your own body. Let's take a deep breath together, because this part is important. Falling is not a personal failure. It's not a sign that you're weak or foolish. It's simply the body's gentle nudge saying, we need to talk. As philosopher Seneca once said, greater than a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials. And while I don't recommend falling as a personal growth exercise, it's true how we rise matters more than how we stumble. You see, after a fall, many older adults begin to shrink their world. Fewer walks, fewer outings. A life lived within. A smaller and smaller circle. It feels safe, but ironically, it makes the body weaker. Muscles atrophy, balance fades, bones lose strength. And so the risk of falling increases. It's a trap. So how do we break it? We start by naming the fear out loud. Without shame. Talk to your GP, your children, your walking group. There's no medal for pretending everything's fine when it isn't. Vulnerability, as the young people say, is brave. Then we rebuild trust step by step. Quite literally, physiotherapy can help enormously. Not just for healing, but for retraining your balance. There are simple exercises often done holding the back of a chair that can teach your body to feel sturdy again. Even a daily practice of standing on one leg while brushing your teeth, hold the sink if needed, can start waking up those little stabilizer muscles in your ankles and hips. And let's not forget the emotional side, because confidence is like a muscle too. It needs attention. It needs patience. And sometimes it needs forgiveness. Forgiveness for the accident. Forgiveness for the fear. Forgiveness for the part of you that misses feeling young and fearless. Here's a thought from Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher. Greater than being deeply loved gives you strength. Loving deeply gives you courage. So love yourself, dear friend, fiercely, kindly. Love the legs that still carry you, the back that creaks, the feet that ache. They are yours, and they are doing their best. And if you ever find yourself needing a walking aid, a stick, a frame, or a rail, don't see it as a defeat. See it as a companion. A quiet promise that says, you've still got places to go. One lady in the book club once showed off her new walking stick and said, if the queen can have one, so can I, and mine's leopard print. We all laughed, and I swear even. Her bones stood a little taller. So remember this. You are not your fall. You are your courage to keep walking. Let's take a moment, just us. A quiet breath. A warm cuppa nearby. Close your eyes, if you like, and think of the version of you 5 or 10 years from now. Not the aches. Not the missing spectacles. but the smile. The eyes still full of stories. The spirit that never really aged. That person, your future self, is watching you now, and they're whispering something gentle, greater than thank you for still trying. Because trying is the truest form of love there is. We've spoken of bones, those silent guardians within us. We've spoken of falls, of food, of balance, and bravery. But in truth, this journey is not about calcium or shoes with good grip. It's about choosing to believe in your body again. To believe that age does not mean surrender. That wisdom walks best with strength, not fear. Too many people speak of growing old as if it's a burden. As if silver hair and slower steps mean the curtain's falling. But let me remind you of this instead. Greater than autumn is the season that teaches us that letting go can be beautiful. And in these autumn years of life, you are more alive than ever. You know more, you feel deeper, and you've made it this far through births, losses, changes, wars of heart and world. And here you are reading this, still curious, still open, still you. So what now? Now, we dance. Not the waltz of 20-year-olds perhaps, but the soft shuffle in the kitchen when the kettle whistles, the slow sway on the garden path when the sun peeks out, the hand resting on a banister, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. This is the dance of staying upright with grace, grit, and a bit of CHEEKINESS. So here's your general checklist. Tucked in a pocket of kindness. Eat for your bones, not just your belly. Daily, even if it's to the letterbox and back. Balance like humor. Improves with practice. Talk about your fears, so they don't grow in silence. Laugh often, especially at yourself. Your bones love joy more than supplements. And if ever you do fall, whether on the pavement or just in spirit, remember the Japanese saying, greater than fall 7 times, stand up 8. Even if standing takes a chair, a rail, and a biscuit afterwards, you stood up. You are not defined by age. You are not defined by a stumble. You are defined by every choice to keep going gracefully, stubbornly, joyfully. So here's to your steps past, present, and still to come. May they be steady. May they be safe. And may they always, always lead you somewhere worth smiling about. With all my heart, for the you who never gave up. And so, dear friend, we've come to the end of our gentle walk through bones, balance, and the beautiful act of staying upright, not just in body, but in spirit too. Growing older isn't about fading. It's about shining differently. About moving with grace, laughing with lines on your face, and loving yourself enough to keep going. Your bones matter. Your steps matter. You matter. If this video brought a smile to your face or reminded you that you're not alone on this journey, please do us a kindness. Give this video a like. It tells YouTube this content is worth sharing. Subscribe and tap the bell for more warm, thoughtful videos crafted just for you. Comment below whether it's your own story, a little hello, or something that made you chuckle. We read every word, and share this with someone you love, perhaps a friend, a parent, or even your neighbor who always forgets their glasses. Greater than you don't stop dancing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop dancing. So let's keep dancing in our own lovely, wobbly way. Thank you for spending this moment with us. You're not just a viewer. You're part of this growing family, a circle of hearts choosing kindness, knowledge, and laughter. Until next time, stay steady, stay smiling, and stay curious. With all our love, your friends at Silver Steps.